Hi there, and welcome to the Heal Project. This is Rick Montgomery, and today's episode is a special message, particularly for the ladies. Guys, you can watch this too, but it's probably geared more towards women. What inspired this episode is I recently saw a Facebook post from this girl I knew many years ago, and she had this list of her life lessons on dating, and it said how to get a guy to ignore you. And step one was sleep with him too soon. Step two was don't sleep with him soon enough. Now, this lady posts about her dating life quite frequently. One week it's all love and everything's beautiful. The next week she's been used, abused, and dumped, and then she's all alone and she's angry. Seeing this frustrates me because I see this girl as this amazing woman who settles for just whatever man she can get, instead of seeing the value she actually has and demanding a man to either step up or step out. The reason this bugs me really bad is basically because I grew up in a similar situation. I was raised by a single mom before it was commonplace, which seems to be more and more common nowadays. But the typical pattern was guy from a bar would become mom's boyfriend, eventually start living with us. They'd be okay for a little bit, then there'd be some huge blow up fight, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of agony. It's kind of like the quote by Einstein that said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. But the problem is, it seems like once you're caught up in this pattern, it's tough to break out of it. It becomes like all you know. So basically, ladies, first of all, if you're meeting guys at bars, there's a high chance that they're going to have issues with drinking and alcohol and things. So just saying that right out there. So the thing is, though, I feel super blessed because by God's grace, I was able to step out of a lot of that cycle of dysfunction. If I were to live up to the standard of men that I was around growing up, I'd be really good at getting drunk, smoking dope, snorting coke, beating up women, not having a job. I mean, this was the standard of quote unquote man that I was around. So I mentioned in our last episode, my mom at one point was married to an abusive alcoholic, and I remember one night we slept in a ditch during one of his rages. I'm like 6 years old, and I remember we're laying in this ditch, and my mom's rubbing my head saying, just try to go to sleep. And I mean, it's been many, many years ago, and it's tough for me to process that to this day. But a lot of situations like that, these men with these violent rages. And I've had one of my mom's boyfriends lit my pants on fire. Unfortunately, I was still wearing them. I remember one guy was extremely violent, and there was a time when he threw my mom across the room, and I was like 13 years old, and jumped in front of her holding my BB gun like a baseball bat and telling the guy to step off and not touch my mom. And we got this grown man with these crazy eyes looking at me saying he's going to kick my ass if I touched him with this BB gun. So, I'm standing over my mom's bleeding, broken body, and she's telling me to run to my grandmother's house to get help. And that was a tough decision to leave her there. So I know what it's like to grow up in these dysfunctional situations. And I guess that's part of the reason I've always had a heart for women, particularly single mothers, because I just think of my mom. I think I always had so much value for my mom. I saw this amazing woman who had just so much to offer, and she settled for these sorry excuses for men, and they just weren't worthy of her. So I just saw this time and time again with lots and lots of different women, and it got me wondering, why do women in particular get into this position? Now, I'm sure everybody has that one person on Facebook that you're not really friends with, but you're just kind of friends so you can see the week's drama unfold. But one of the big reasons, I think, which is similar for all of us, is it's all in how we see ourselves. How you see yourself dictates the things that you'll either put up with or not, the things you won't tolerate. Pastor Michael Posey had a great way of saying this. He said, how you see a thing is how you treat a thing. And if you see yourself as beautiful, you'll carry yourself differently. You're going to treat yourself differently. There's going to be a different standard that you hold yourself and others to. But if you were never told that you were beautiful, then you probably will just have difficulty actually, seeing yourself as beautiful. So maybe you try to do what society tells you to be beautiful. You got to be, this weight, and boobs got to be this big. You got to have this kind of booty. You got to be this tall, this short, this, all these various things. Got to wear the sexy clothes that show off your goods. And yeah, it'll get the attention of some guys, but they'll tell you you're beautiful and all that stuff. But when it comes to it, it's not going to give you what you're looking for. They'll lure you in, they'll use you, and then they'll drop you. But since you're stuck up in that concept, you don't have any other idea on how to break out of that. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. And instead of just being beautiful and understanding and knowing you're beautiful, it's this trying to be beautiful and trying to fill this hole. So you just end up getting numb to it. You pursue this thing that you just can't quite put your finger on. It like eludes you, and it just leaves you that emptiness inside. You just can't feel it. I mean, possessions, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, it'll numb you a bit, but it never really satisfies you. You never feel fulfilled. So one of the keys to moving past this is starting to see yourself differently. You may not even be aware of what's amazing about you, what you have to offer. But here's one thing you can do. You can go to, some people that care about you, and just ask them, what are three of the things that you like about me? What are the three best qualities that I have? And you'll get some answers as to the character of the person you are, the quality, the traits that you possess. And then you take that list and you kind of look and see what gels with you, what means the most to you. And then just embrace that. See these things that you have as something of value, something that you have to give the world. It's like your own special mix, your own special flavor, so to speak. And, see yourself as that person that has these qualities, and think, how would you treat someone who had those qualities? And you'd probably treat them differently than you treat yourself, but that's exactly how you should be treated, and you shouldn't tolerate anything less. If you got some guy and the best compliment he gives you is, "You're hot," don't waste your time. If he doesn't see those qualities in you, those things that are your strengths, the beauty that's actually inside of you, he's not worth what you have to offer. Okay? So see yourself differently, and you'll treat yourself differently. And if you could just see that beauty that you actually possess, things would be different. It's a powerful thing when there's a woman that knows she's beautiful, a woman that knows she has something to offer. I always try to make an effort to, whenever it's appropriate, but, try and lift a woman's ideals of herself, especially in little girls. Tell them they're pretty and smart and that kind of thing. That makes an impact, because if you can get them young to believe that, their future will be a whole lot brighter. I try to do this I have two daughters, and I try to do it with them, all the time. And my daughter, my youngest one, she sings constantly. She's always singing little songs. And the other night she was in the bathtub, and I was sitting out in the hall listening to her sing, and she's like singing, "I like myself. I love myself because I'm pretty and smart. I love my mom and dad." And she was just singing this, but I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want her to know that she's beautiful, that she's pretty, that she's smart, that she has these qualities. And it's not like a conceited thing. Just because she's beautiful doesn't mean my other daughter's not beautiful. And it's not she's more beautiful than someone else. It's she has this beauty. She has this confidence about her. That's what I want. I want her to know that I see that in her, but even more importantly, I want her to know that she has that inside herself. And that was like, I'm doing something right, is what really, it was just a yes kind of moment. So if she has that, she's not going to look for it in someone else. She's not going to have someone else justify the fact that she's beautiful. So, if you're single, that's okay. I know it can get lonely, but settling for some attention or some affection from some douche who's only only wanting to use you for your body, that's not going to help the loneliness. It's just going to make it worse. I mean, I know some of my most favorite people in the world are these amazing single women. They don't define themselves by the fact whether they have a man or not, but they're just these women of substance, these women of character, these women of integrity, and they have these standards that they're just not going to bow down for. So one in particular, she's like one of my little personal heroes. Her name's Brittany, and she is like a living example of the power of the gospel. I mean, she is awesome. She was, left that empty life behind, and she's living the life of her dreams. And maybe one day I'll have her share some of her story because it's powerful. Maybe we can do like a Google Hangout on here or something. But it's stories like hers and mine that really get me passionate, because we've lived in that life of dysfunction and we've gotten out of it. And now we're just trying to build a bridge so that people that don't see any hope for themselves can come across that bridge as well and see that your life does have purpose. You do have value. So it doesn't matter what your situation is right now. And I know sometimes it can be extremely rough. And you may have made some mistakes. You may be paying the cost for some of your decisions. But I'm telling you, there's still opportunity. There's still hope for you. There's still a future for you. It's just one small step at a time. But if you can just get the idea of just how valuable you are in God's eyes, you'll start treating yourself different. You'll start walking in a new direction. I mean, think of it. You were created to be you. I mean, God could have made you anybody else in the world, and he made you particularly like he made you. Various strengths, various weaknesses. Now, people say, why did he make weaknesses? Well, if we were all perfect, we wouldn't need anybody else. So our weaknesses are there to have us rely on other people. It's a thing for us not to get too caught up in ourselves, but it's actually, it's something we move past, something we overcome, something we can laugh at even, but not something that defines us. So it's okay to have weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. You're not perfect. It's okay. So I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. It's from a lady named Marianne Williamson, and you can listen to it here several times, search it online, but I'd encourage you to read this over several times a day, or listen to this here several times a day. Probably one of my top 3 favorite quotes of all time. But it says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within you. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. We are liberated from our own fear, and our presence automatically liberates others. Man, there's so much in there. It's such a meaty quote, so to speak. But you were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within you. Man, that's powerful stuff. And if you see yourself this way, you're going to treat yourself in a whole other way. So this is kind of a quick episode, but I just want to thank you for watching this. My sincere desire is that it gives you some hope and some encouragement, because, I mean, I love you. You are beautiful, and don't let that just kind of wash over you like water off a duck's back. I mean, really understand that. You are beautiful. And basically the world's just waiting to find out. So go and make manifest the glory of God that's within you. And just be beautiful. Find out what's special about you and be that person. You're worth it. All right, until next time, this is Rick Montgomery. See ya.